Have you ever realized that you are your biggest problem? I actually it happens often where right now I'm going through coaching conversations with agents, going through what is that next step for them and how they're going to build their business or where they're going to go, right? We all naturally hit certain ceilings of achievement. In the Keller Williams ecosystem, we call it moving from E to P, so entrepreneurial to purposeful, and how we all have basically, by being entrepreneurial, a certain ceiling of achievement that we hit naturally. And to go to the next step, we're needing some more systems or some more tools or some more education. And I've kind of been on this conversation a lot with agents about leverage, right? There's only one of you. So how do you go out there and do more without necessarily just doing more, right? Like if you go and talk to almost anyone, one of their favorite lines to say is, you say, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm super busy, right? It's such a common theme right now of that busyness trap and how good it is and that's where we're supposed to be. The reality though is also that busyness is what's keeping us in some degree where we're at, and how can we go from that to getting some good leverage and getting to that next level, right? So one fascinating aspect with this is I've been going through some coaching, and I was coaching someone about hiring the right person to get them to the next step, right? In the MREA, it talks about how your very first hire as a real estate agent should be an admin, should be someone to support you in your business to help you get to that next level, right? Right when you get to the point where you can't do any more, you should be hiring somebody to take off as much of that 80% as is physically possible to help you go focus on the relationships that you need to get you to the next level. And while I was having a conversation with an agent in the office, we were going through about how hard it is not only to hire, but to hire correctly, and how that is a huge part of it. But then we also started really going into the whole part of setting up the right expectations, helping it so that you have it so that your person that you've hired, right, can help you do the tasks in the right way. And the natural thing is, a lot of entrepreneurs like ourselves don't go out there, and we're not good at saying, hey, here's the SOP for how I want you to do this, this, and this, and here's how you can do this. And I've realized, and this is where we were realizing as the coaching conversation was going on, was how a lot of the times the problem is the problem is ourselves, right? Like if we are expecting this kind of product and this kind of stat and this done in this way, but we don't give it where here is the process or what we expect or enough details, then a lot of the times we're asking someone to, in a lot of ways, like read our mind, right? Which if we're expecting it to, and we're really good at delegating and happy to kind of do that, then maybe like we don't have this standard of what it is, but we're willing in this kind of bracket, and as long as it's in that, then we're happy. But if we're wanting it to be in this certain way, but we don't explain it well enough, then whose fault is it really, right? And it was kind of a fun conversation going through, because it's one of those ones where you realize when you're helping somebody out or when you're teaching or when you're doing all of that, how the gaps that you see in yourself. So it was fun because I was able to dive in, and even with my virtual assistant, I was like, oh, I just thought of another task that I am now doing on a monthly basis that I haven't leveraged out. So then I actually then went through the process of creating an SOP, helping coaching that client. We did a Loom video. Awesome tool, by the way, if you want to go use Loom for any structure of saying, hey, how do you go do something? But I went through, showed exactly what the process was that I do, how it looks, what are my steps, and what I want it to look like when they do it for me, right? And it was great. It's already now happened. That's already now in the system, and that's one more thing off my plate, done at the level that I would want. But it was cool, kind of rewinding back, how going through this scenario of really diving into how and what we can do to help this agent out was figuring out how much it is that process of elevating the game and getting it so that you know how to get them to do what you want them to do, right? What's that SOP? What does that look like, and where's that at? And it was fun because then, of course, AI right now is a huge conversation at the brokerage. And we were talking about how you should be using AI and how to prompt AI. And that's where some of those light bulbs just ding, right? It was kind of like, okay, how many of these different scenarios, if I was better at prompting, if I could be better at prompting AI, if you could go through and use a different form and way to prompt and explain what is your context, how are you, where you're at, what kind of role you want them to do in that way, that you want it to be an interview style, like ask me one question at a time, and then what the task is in detail. And if you have an example, hey, here's an example of one that happened in the past or something, how much better does AI perform in that? Then going and saying, okay, if I did the same thing with, an employee, or if I did the same thing with, I dare say, my kids, how much more likely am I to get the end result in a way that I would be wanting and hoping for, rather than just being like, hey, I want this done, right? Hey, I want you to email this person about this. Like, how much more, if it is something that you do often, could you go through, create a good SOP, a good example of what that looks like, to then be able to put it in that way? I think right now in this world and day and age, the better that we can lead ourselves, and the better that we can get what we're wanting done to a degree that we can leverage AI, we can leverage an admin staff to get out into that next level, the better we're going to be off. And right now, of course, there's a whole bunch of AI out there. There's a lot of large language models to use. There's a lot of agentic AI coming out right now that you can then say, hey, if I can now use these prompts or use these tools at a high level, how much of my time can I get back in that 80%? And that's what's been really fun. Right now, there's been a lot of different ideas and a lot of different things I've been showing a lot of the agents that I coach. So really, for yourself, thinking through, if you're wanting to kind of continue to elevate that game, continue to get better at that, a great spot to start and understanding your own prompting and your own skill of how can you lead might be that interaction of getting it where, how well are you interacting and getting that prompting done with your AI, right? But yeah, just thinking through that, what's next and how do you get to that next level? How do you go from entrepreneurial to purposeful? Let's take you to that next level. So we're going to be going through a whole bunch more tools and a whole bunch of more different things that you can be doing as a real estate agent to improve your game. But this right here was really for you to think, where in your business are you the problem, and what systems, tools, models, AI, or amazing people do you need in your life that are going to help you get to that next level, help you break through the ceiling that you're in right now? Because, right, life is worth living. Let's build the best life that we can. And, money's important, as Zig Ziglar says. His quote, money's not the most important thing in the world, but it ranks right up there with as oxygen. So let's go build the business that we want and have the life that we want worth living. See ya.